In this demo, I'm going to show you a new Azure service tier for singleton databases, well, relatively new. It went generally available at the end of 2019, so you can now use it in production, and that's called serverless. So serverless allows us to auto-scale based upon our workload. Previously, we could do this using PowerShell and various commandlets to programmatically, or even based on DTU or CPU consumption, could make those decisions to scale up and then scale back down. But Microsoft has simplified this for us by giving us a service tier that we could subscribe to. So let's take a look. I'll start off by going into my SQL databases, and I'll choose my AdventureWorks TR. That's kind of my demo database. Right now that is in the DTU tier. It is a S0, so $15 a month. And I'm going to switch over to vCore pricing. We can see in the general purpose, we have serverless and provisioned. So your provisioned is your traditional, I want to scale or be able to be from a V2 up to an 80 vCore. That's your dedicated compute, and choose your database size. Under serverless, we have options to set our max vCore and our min vCore. Now your min is going to correspond with the max. So as we scale max up, and I'll scroll down just a little bit so you can watch this. So with your max, we'll determine what your min can be and also what your min max memory capabilities are within that threshold. So as I start sliding this dial, we'll see that our max memory increases as our vCore increases, but also our min vCore increases as well to some level. So as I scroll all the way across, you see all the numbers changing, and we'll get up to, we can see our minimum at that point is then 5, but then we can have up to 120 gig of memory. So if we're at 40 vCore, we can cap at 120, but at a 5, we're going to be limited to a 15. So with all of this, let me choose a more realistic, we'll say a 12 vCore, and then has a minimum of 1.5. Maybe I don't want to go that low. I want to set it to 2. Or maybe I want to have a 4 and 12. So the min is going to be 12 gig of memory with 4 vCore, and then as workload comes in, maybe it's month end, maybe it's end of day processing, whatever it is, whatever's within your boundaries, then I can scale up to 12 vCore. But this auto pause, if I have no activity, then let's pause the compute. So let's not charge me anything for vCore, CPU, for the memory, for those hardware resources. My storage, I'm still going to be billed for because my database is still taking up space. They can't reclaim that, give it to someone else, and my data still exists. But if I'm not using CPU and memory, that can be given back out to a pool for other consumers. And then when workload comes in, let's ramp back up to my minimum of 4 vCore. With the auto pause, you have constraints that you can apply. Right now, it defaults to 1 hour. If I try to change this, it tells me that it has to be between 1 hour and 7 days. So minimum's an hour, max is, 7 days. So no activity for a week, then pause. But where this is really beneficial is if you're not using any compute. Maybe I am a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. type business, and so there's no activity from 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning and on Saturday and Sunday. Why am I paying compute for more than 50% of a week when there's no activity? This is huge for me for those types of databases. A website that's 24/7, 365, autopause may never do you any good, but the scaling could. Maybe you're running ads, or maybe somebody put something out on Instagram or a tweet. You reference your website and you see a big influx of activity and people searching for your widgets that you're selling. Being able to scale up to handle that without crashing could be huge. All right, so as you scale up, just like with any other singleton database, the higher vCore allocation that you go, the larger storage pool that you have available to you. Right now, I've set a max of 12. That gives me 3 terabytes, or up to 3 terabytes. Your log space allocated references or is tied to your max database size. So at 250 gig, I can have a 75 gig log. As I start scaling up my storage, then the log space that correlates with that also increases. So as I get up to 3 terabytes, I can have a terabyte transaction log. All right, that is it in a nutshell.